Hey, Maria, back with another video. I'm hopefully getting some sleep tonight. I'm already in my pajamas, and I ate something, and I didn't feel very good afterwards, so I wanted to lay down, but I can't sleep, so here I am making another video. So anyway, I wanted to talk about one of the things I'm trying to do in my activism. I've been working on this flyer, and I've got like the middle and the end, but one part that I find very difficult is the introduction of this pamphlet and this source of information, because what a lot of targeted individuals, or the issues that they're going through, is the fact that many people are they don't believe targeted individuals, even though it sounds almost fantastic. It can make people think that you're paranoid, because people don't really understand what it is. Because a lot of people are, when I first started getting into targeted individuals, I remember hearing about some people who were being, attacked with energy weapons, and I have to say, I thought it was kind of like bullshit. I really believed that it was bullshit. But as time went on, I started hearing other people's stories and started reading about energy weapons. I believed it, okay? But one way I want to talk about targeted individuals is I need to speak to people in a way where they can easily relate it. And what it is we understand that being a targeted individual is basically you are constantly harassed 24 hours a day, nonstop. So that means basically all your social interactions are basically perpetrators, and they are completely ready and willing to harass you. So that is pretty much the definition of one of the experience that you have to deal with as a targeted individual. But many people still think that, on the outside, still think that that's nothing, or they don't fully understand it. So in my situation, like I said, I would like to communicate this information to mostly employers, okay? I think the biggest problem with targeted individuals is the fact that they are their back is being pressed against the wall, and not only are they shunned from the community, but they are, the most terrifying part is that they are thrown out of their some people are thrown out of work, period. They don't have a job. Some of these people are living on the streets, and I just watched a video about a targeted individual who decided to commit suicide because it just got so out of hand. So basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to break down the mechanics of what actually creates a targeted individual, and to make people understand how widespread this problem is, and not just widespread, how easily it could happen. I did mention it in my previous videos about the technology that we have nowadays that makes it very easy to do that. But we are living in a day and age, it's a combination of having access to social media sites where everybody pretty much shares information. Like, when I was on Facebook, I don't recall ever putting anything specific about me. Basically just the town that I was residing in, and then, of course, my name, okay? But then if you got family members, people can cross and reference information. But basically, when you're a targeted individual, people are, it's a Holocaust. It is a form of genocide, and where anybody can enact harm or terrorize a person. And in my case, it's almost like a form of extrajudicial punishment, which in a lot of cases, communities who shun an individual, they're shunning them because they feel as though this person needs to be punished for whatever reason. But they, instead of taking it to a court system, which in my case, if this would have went to a court system, people would just kind of roll their eyes like, okay, what are you even here for? But because this is really nothing to talk about. But, and that is, of course, if the people on the panel have a brain, which I can't even fucking tell you how stupid people are these days. But basically, it's when a group of people take it among themselves to decide what is right and what is wrong, and usually it's corrupt, okay? Just like in the South, when people used to lynch black people for whatever reason, instead of law enforcement, making the decision as to whether this person hurt somebody, then you'd get angry people, a big mob of people, and they would actually lynch you. So basically what it is it's like gossip out of control, and people taking advantage of the situation, and in all areas. So like for example, in your neighborhood, people are gossiping and they're making a decision to exclude you or treat you differently or ignore you or whatever. And then of course you've got the workplace issue where people are taking they're putting aside what they should have, business ethics and and an adherence to the laws that are already set in place. And like I said, in this situation with these targeted individuals, there is no excuse for this to happen when it comes to employment, okay? Because the person who's sitting there is supposed to be making a decision, is supposed to be making, logical decisions, and it should be based on fact, okay? Like in my situation, not just fact, it should be based on their skills, really. So in my case, I don't even want to go into my case, but because that's not really the point. But the point is that I have a hard time with my introduction, with my way of introducing the issue of being gang stalked, the issue of being a targeted individual, in a way that people can understand. Okay, because a lot of people who even, for example, Laura Hill. Okay, I wrote her a letter about my targeting. I think, I wrote her a letter about it, and she was one of my perps. Okay, and I bet you because she was in a position that hired people and she thought it was work related and my family was involved, that it was okay. Okay, she probably thought it was okay, even though she was a part of the terror. Okay, she was a part of the psychological trauma. She's a part of the form of genocide, regardless. Okay, so a lot of people, for example, people at work, they're going to think, well, you're just making a big deal out of this. Okay, getting shut out of employment is terrifying, okay? And it is a form of genocide, especially because how widespread it is. But my point is, I'm getting off the subject because it's very hard for me to focus on how would I explain what a targeted individual how would I explain what a targeted individual is to a person who isn't familiar with it. Although I do think that there's a lot of information already out there, but the problem is that people aren't believing it. They're not believing it. They might hear about it and they might be minimizing it. They don't really see what the big deal is. But I'm going to tell you, it is a big deal. It is a huge deal. I mean, there are people, like I said, there was just a person who just recently committed suicide. And it is a very devastating situation to be in. And I can't express that enough. So I'm going to need some help for all the people who do keep in contact with me. I might just go ahead and forward my draft, and maybe you can come up with an introduction because I just don't have it. I don't have. I keep running up into a block like that, because what some people, and it's another thing is because some people think that this sort of thing is normal or it's acceptable. They don't realize the cause and effect. Okay, of employers participating in issues relating on social media and then taking it upon themselves to put a system in place to hurt the person that they're seeing, or whether it be on social media or in their neighborhood or whatever. And this is what I'm trying to focus on mostly in my activism, is talking to employers and doing educational presentations so that people employers would be encouraged not to do this. And I know it's very hard, and I know it's not a very popular thought, okay? It's not a very popular thought because, like I said, harassing people, making fun of people, and gossip is what fuels most people's so-called friendships, okay? Without stabbing somebody in the back, without, victimizing a person and terrorizing people, really there's not a whole lot to people's social interactions, okay? So it's very difficult to get a lot of employers to get on board with, adhering to the law and adapting practices that are going to prevent this, or at least not, you can't prevent targeted individuals, but you can prevent your company from being sued, because really they're breaking laws and they're violating your human rights and they deserve to be sued. It puts the company in jeopardy. It also destroys the life, okay, of the target. And I don't care what anybody says, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, nobody benefits from this situation. The only person who benefits from gang stalking are perps, and they're basically just getting a thrill out of destroying a person's life, everything a person's worked for. And it's a form of, just like, in just like somebody, torturing somebody, or people who like to watch like things like Faces of Death or something. Some people have very sick minds where they actually enjoy having other people lose everything. They like to see people in pain, and they like to see people suffer. And you get individuals like, narcissists, or you get like psychopaths, who are sitting in the workplace, and they're more common than people think, and they start promoting their own personal agendas on the company's time. And that's what I really am trying to emphasize to the employers. And it's not trying to sound like being a stick in the mud or anything like this, but, I mean, there are so many targeted individuals in this state alone, okay, but in the United States, all over the world, okay? Why? Because if people follow certain protocols, this would not happen. It just would not happen. It's basically a form of community harassment that leads to, I would say, the eventual destination of all this, or where it's going to head, is somebody, either committing suicide, or whatever, or be homeless or whatever. I mean, it's a horrible thing. So anyway, yeah. So if you have any ideas on how I could slowly introduce the topic where people can relate it to it and understand, then I would greatly appreciate your help. Also, I wanted to clarify something. I'm not saying that people should commit suicide with their targeted individual, but I fully understand why they do it, and I'm not going to judge these people. It makes me very sad to know that, somebody felt so alone that they had no other choice but to do that. And I'm going to tell you, it is a very lonely situation, and it's very devastating, because every situation is more traumatizing. Every social interaction becomes more and more terrifying, I mean, I never thought I'd see the day that I couldn't reflect on my childhood. Now I don't want to remember any of those people. Okay? Why? Because they put me in this situation. And it's just too much. It's too much. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video, and have a wonderful evening. Take care. Bye-bye.